Ts611 Unit 3 Coursework Task 3. This is looking at pages 145 to 154 in Chapter 10, Piscata in Berlin. On the first page of this chapter, it refers to a group that Piscata worked with of mainly amateur actors which toured working class districts. This is the same kind of audience that Brecht focused on, and it talks about extensively modified work in order to achieve maximum political clarity and relevance in the current situation in Germany. Brecht also contemporized productions to make them relevant for the audience of his day. The underlined quote here talks about Piscata's search, which led him first to the review form and thence to the development of epic theatre, which of course is in line with Brecht's work. And Brecht was also using those very colourful forms of review styles, such as dancing, singing, comedy, ballad singing, etc., etc. This goes on to say that the review was a loose montage of sketches, which isn't like Brecht. His was not a loose montage, although it was done in a montage-like way with a non-linear structure. There's also that destruction of the barrier between the audience and the actors on stage. For instance, it says here, the show was held together by the characters of a master butcher and an unemployed worker who emerged arguing from the audience during the overture and came up onto the stage, where they remained throughout like musical compares. And that's rather like the role of the narrator in some of the Brechtian productions. Piscata's theatre is recognised by the German revolutionary movement as a potent weapon of propaganda, and Brecht also used his theatre for political purposes. I don't think his work was so much propaganda. Brecht's work was more to help the audience to think for themselves and to present problems and to present dialectical situations for them to fathom out for themselves. Also, Piscata's work is different in the way that critics said that it was emotionally overwhelming and politically clarifying, whereas Brecht always tried to use the Verfremdungseffect to stop the audience from becoming too emotionally overwhelmed and allowing them to still use their brain. And he didn't give a political answer. He was giving space for the audience to come to their own political conclusions, which I'm sure inside he hoped were the same as his. Fahnen was subtitled a dramatic novel, but for the production this was changed to an epic drama. Of course, as it notes here, this was what Brecht was later to base his whole aesthetic on. Piscata said a didactic play, Lehrstück, was developed from the spectacle play. And of course, there's a similarity there with Brecht as well, because Brecht also had Lehrstück, learning pieces, where he wanted to educate the audience and also the people that were actually performing. Here, they talk about a composite revolving set of low cut-off walls. This is for a free-flowing, rapid narrative sequence of 18 scenes. Brecht also used a similar idea with the revolving cycloramas. I would say when you're trying to get a point across, you can do without clumsy stage or scenic changes. There's also the projection onto the backdrop, very Brechtian, and ballad singer commenting in song. That is also a technique used by Brecht. Sometimes the title for the next scene in the manner of the silent cinema, which is something that Brecht also did. And Brecht was influenced by this highlighting of the action rather than the text. He would like the audience to be able to understand his play, even if it were presented behind a glass screen and the audience could hear no sound. Leo Lanier reviewed Fahnen and said that the production had a direct and powerful impact, and that the people related it directly to present-day events. That was something that contemporization of a story was something that was extremely important as well to Brecht. And in his review, he goes on to say, so Flags was in a sense the first Marxist drama. Brecht was also interested in Marxism and the struggle, the socio-economic struggle between rich and poor. Piscator says each actor had to be quite conscious of the fact that he represented a particular social class. This too is extremely important to Brecht, where this would be shown through gestures and other such techniques, even the way they were placed on the stage. Piscator also talks about the style of acting developed in his productions as hard, unambiguous, unsentimental. And I think this has greatly influenced Brecht as well, especially when he talks of the way that Weigel played Mother Courage. I've just mentioned how Brecht would place people on the stage in line with their social standing, and this is what Piscator notices when he says that Toller had managed to hint at a cross-section of society in the choice and grouping of the settings, and we'd come up with a stage set that would display this cross-section and lend it precision. This just shows what an amazingly huge influence Piscator was on Brecht's work. But Brecht does take it that bit further, moving from a montage into something that is more connected and rounded. Piscator's theatre was propaganda. Brecht's theatre is more dialectical, where the audience has to think for themselves about what the answer is.